Hello everyone, and welcome to the second installment of our virtual series on payroll testing in SAP and SuccessFactors environments. In our first session, we discussed common pitfalls encountered and concluded with a brief introduction of SpinifexIT's data cloning tool, EasyClone. Today, we'll continue exploring EasyClone, including a hands-on demonstration. First though, let's review some key concepts. As mentioned last time, with EasyClone, creating test employees is a snap. Employees from the production system can be copied into other environments via an easy-to-use interface. The end user simply selects which employees to clone and what data to include. The ability to scramble sensitive data fields is available and customizable to each organization's preference so that data privacy concerns can be addressed. Before we move into the system to see the tool in action, just a few comments regarding the environments where EasyClone can be utilized. First, EasyClone can be used to copy data within either an on-premise SAP payroll system landscape or Employee Central Payroll from production to a test or sandbox system. If an organization is also utilizing Employee Central for master data, again, with payroll either in ECP or on-premise, that Employee Central data can be picked up and included in the copy as well. So for instance, while copying payroll data from production to a test system, the corresponding Employee Central data can also be copied from the production Easy instance to the test Easy instance. It's important to understand that from fully on-premise to cloud-based systems, plus hybrid models in between, EasyClone has got you covered.
Hello everyone, thank you for letting me join for this demonstration of our EasyClone tool, which you can use to copy employee data. So I'm going to illustrate that for you today using our test system. And what you're looking at right now is I have logged in and launched the transaction code that takes me to EasyClone. So once I do that, this is what the screen looks like. Notice there are 5 tabs running across the top. We're just going to walk through those tabs real briefly, 1 through 5. That takes us through the process. It's really a can't fail type of process that leads you from left to right what you need to do this cloning. So we're on tab number 1. Now what we do on tab number 1 is at the top we need to decide, are we pushing data out or are we going to pull it from another system? That's basically our decision. Is it a push or a pull? Because I can run EasyClone either way. I can be logged in here, maybe in a test system, and pull the data out of production. Or vice versa, I could be logged into the production system and do a push out to this system or some other system. So for this particular example, I've got the radio button set on copy data from another system into this current system. So that would be a pull. By the way, as I go through these tabs, something to point out is you will see entries already completed. That's because I saved my entries as a variant, just like you can do in so many SAP processes. I've already entered in some options, saved them as a variant, and I called up my variant before I even started the recording so that I could show this to you. All right, so we're on tab 1 and we have picked that we're going to do a pull into the current system. Data and copy type, okay, down at the bottom. This is where we loosely define what we want to include in the copy. When we get to tab number 4, we're going to fine tune it. But this is kind of just our introductory decision of what we are going to copy. So, it can be posting results only, which means payroll posting to the general ledger out of the payroll system. Those posting documents can be cloned, and you can do it including those with all your other employee data or just those documents alone. And that's what this third radio button will allow you to do. The organizational data copy, that's the same sort of idea. It's your org structure, your org chart. You can include it with your employee data copy as well as you can do it individually, just that, and not copy employees. By the way, the configuration tables at the bottom, I'm not going to be covering that today because those are only relevant for German payroll, and most of our audience is not in Germany for this particular virtual series, so we won't be discussing that. The very top option, Employee Master Data Copy, that's the most common choice that you would see organizations make when they're getting ready to run EasyClone. Basically, it's everything. It's, do you want infotype data? Do you want payroll results? Do you want, potentially time evaluation, CATS database entries? All those items are available. And like I said, when we get to tab number 4, we're going to fine tune which pieces of those we want. But by leaving the radio button on the top, we're basically just leaving it wide open that, yes, I want to pull in possibly all of these different employee data elements. Once we complete tab 1, we move over to tab 2. Tab 2 just kind of continues the conversation. We have to pick from the drop down here what system we need to connect to. If we're doing a push or a pull, either way, we're connecting to another system. Those have already been set up behind the scenes, made available in the drop down, and we just need to select which one via an RFC call are we going to connect to. The middle of the system of the screen is all about how are we going to assign numbers, perners, to these new employees that we're creating by doing a clone. We can let the system automatically generate the numbers. We can assign them directly, which is what you're seeing here. I'm assigning it a particular number. We have an option at the bottom related to that. If the employee, let's say this one, 900000021, that I'm saying use that number when you create the clone. Well, what if that employee already exists? Well, I have some options at the bottom. Do I need to overwrite or do I need to stop, and not let it continue? So we have options there for the users to select. Tab number 3 is all about the source employee or employees. You have an employee selection screen that looks very similar to what you see in lots of places in SAP. And what we're going to do here is put in here the selection for the employees that are going to be the source. They are the employees that are clones are going to be made of. For this particular example, my variant, I just have one employee in there, number 100052. Notice you can select based on various attributes like a whole personal area or sub-area, employee group. There's also the ability to pick based on org structure items such as job code. So you select who's going to be the source. You hit the hit list, which does a little validation to make sure what you've put in there is actually a valid person in the source system. And you'll see that become validated here at the bottom. And it's telling me, yes, I have my one person selected and we're all good to go. Tab number 4, all about the data. Back on tab 1, we said, hey, we're going to do one of those copies where everything potentially could be included, all that employee data. When I come over here to tab 4, I can refine that selection. For example, let's look at payroll posting data. I mentioned you can include the payroll posting data from the posting docs, what went to the GL. You can include that in the copy. There's a checkbox to indicate whether you want to include it or not. There is, let's see what else we want to look at here. Let's go into organizational data. Same thing. Now, I don't have a check to be included with this variant, but I can say, yes, I want to bring over that org structure, the PDOM data associated with this employee. Employee data itself, that folder, when you open it up, you see individual components like CATS timesheets. Do you want to include those? The audit logs, the master data audit log, time evaluation results, payroll results for sure. You almost always want to include payroll results when you're setting up these test employees. That includes your clusters or even declustered payroll results. As we go through here, let's look at infotypes. If I double click on infotype, you will see it brings up the full list of infotypes, all the PA master data infotypes, and those are by country. So if I were to select a country, let's just go with Canada, country 07. It'll refresh and show me those infotypes that apply for that country, including the things that are specific to Canada as well as the things that apply across all the globe. You'll notice that we have checkboxes. By default, we are including some infotypes, but you can change it. You can uncheck the box. And we have the reverse. If I scroll down, we have some infotypes that are listed here that they're not checked to be copied, but you have the ability here to just check them and say you want to include them. So the end user has that ability to really fine-tune what they want to include in the copy. That includes, do you want to scramble the sensitive data? There's a checkbox for that. simply select whether you want to scramble. And that is all you absolutely have to do if you want the data to be scrambled, and you are fine with our pre-delivered ways, our methods of doing the scrambling. If you want to fine-tune the methods that we utilize for scrambling, you can come over here to the scramble settings and dig in even deeper. For example, under infotype settings, I can see per infotype, per field, what's the method? And there's drop downs there, and you can utilize those to learn a little bit more for each one. You can look at the values here where the green arrows are, use the values to see how we set it up as a default so you can understand each one of these, how they're actually working. If we go back over here to the general tab, notice you can do a quick scramble override of first name and last name if you want to prescribe, okay, create this person and name them, John Smith. You can put that in here. Employee Central settings are here as well. Let's go back for just a moment. When we're picking our data to copy, remember we mentioned in the presentation that you can include Employee Central data. It's down here as an option. There's a checkbox. If you want to play with the scramble settings of the Employee Central data, when you go into Scramble Settings, there's a separate tab for the Employee Central settings. Okay, so we've got all these options, just a matter of a little bit of training to the end user what each of these means, and they're ready to take off. Tab 1 through 4, they fill it out and complete it, and they are ready to run the clone, which is very simply done by coming over here to tab number 5, and you can either run your clone process in the foreground or in the background. Schedule it in the background for later, run it in the background now. Under Run Options, you have the ability to split the job, which means if you're copying a huge volume of population, a lot of employees, and you want to split it into, say, 5 jobs, 10 jobs, it will then take that employee population, run those jobs in parallel. So it just makes it all go faster, spreads out the load, makes it go faster, and then it still finishes just the same as you would normally see, which is a little log here telling us what happened, who was successful, who erred. See, and I picked I did pick a variant, so I should have everything populated. Let's click the little Run in Foreground button, and we're going to let this run. All right, notice I have a message at the bottom. Easy Clone has completed. So my copying has occurred. It looks like I have an entry under Successful. I'm going to open that up so I can see the log, and yes, I can see my source employee successfully created my target employee with a scrambled name. So there you have it, from steps 1 through 5, illustration of Easy Clone. I'm going to return you to our moderator then to finish this presentation.
Now that you're familiar with the Easy Clone tool, let's build on that knowledge. Next time, for our 3rd installment in this virtual series, we'll explore how Easy Clone, used with other SpinifeX tools, can support you during a system migration from on-premise SAP to the cloud. You can view Easy Clone and the rest of our solutions in the SAP store. Looking forward to seeing you again on our next episode. Bye!